A freshman crawled into his parents' garbage bin, closed the lid, and pulled the trigger. He didn't want to leave a mess for them to clean up. There was something heartbreaking in that final decision, not just the act itself, but the quiet, calculated kindness behind it. He was thinking of them even in his last moments. Did he sit there in the dark, surrounded by the scent of discarded food and crumpled newspapers, second-guessing? Did he hope someone might open the lid and stop him? Or did he feel a strange comfort in disappearing, in making himself as disposable as the garbage around him? By morning, the sun had risen, life had moved forward, and the world remained unchanged, except for his parents, whose lives would never be the same. She was a girl in the grade above mine, full of life and laughter. It was Christmas Eve, and she was decorating the tree with her family, carefully placing ornaments on the higher branches. One misplaced step, one moment of imbalance, and she fell from the ladder, hitting her head. She insisted she was fine. Maybe she even laughed it off, not wanting to ruin the holiday cheer. But that night, while the world was wrapped in warmth and celebration, she slipped away. Internal bleeding, silent, invisible, deadly. It has been 50 years. 50 Christmas Eves have passed. Trees have been decorated, and families have gathered, unaware of the life that ended on that very night so long ago. But I remember. Every Christmas Eve, I see her in my mind, the soft glow of the lights, the twinkling ornaments, and the girl who never saw another Christmas morning. I was a night custodian at an elementary school for a few years. It was the night before Thanksgiving break, a night that should have been filled with relief and anticipation. I was mopping the health room when the school secretary burst in, her breath uneven, her hands shaking as she made frantic phone calls from her desk. I knew something terrible had happened, but I stayed silent and finished my work. A few days later, an email confirmed what I had feared. One of the teachers had been in a car accident on her way home. She fought for days, but didn't survive. When school resumed, her classroom was exactly as she had left it, her handwriting still on the whiteboard, her lesson plans neatly stacked, the small personal touches that made the room hers. The students had covered the walls with letters and paper hearts, a sea of grief frozen in time. I swept the floors, emptied the trash, and felt the weight of all those emotions pressing down on me. Now that I'm a teacher myself, I think about her every Thanksgiving break as I drive home. I feel the excitement, the relief, then the fear. I wonder if she had felt the same way that night, thinking about the holiday, about her family, about the comfort of home. But she never made it. There was a boy in the grade above me. He was murdered on either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, right around midnight. His body was dumped outside, left on a mattress like discarded trash. When we returned to school, there was a single announcement over the PA system, a 10-second moment of silence. Then everything went back to normal. No memorial, no prolonged mourning, just another name slipping into obscurity. Years passed, and one day I realized I didn't even remember his name. I didn't know if his murder had ever been solved, if justice had ever been served. The news article I had once read was gone, lost to time, as if he had never existed at all. The only proof that he was real is the memory my sister and I share, a fleeting moment in the grand scheme of things. It makes me wonder How many lives are forgotten? How many tragedies are swallowed up by the passage of time? How long does it take before a person truly disappears? My graduating class didn't just lose one student before graduation. We lost three. And a teacher. The first death happened in middle school. A boy who died of dehydration in 7th grade. It was shocking, but we were young. We moved on faster than we should have. The second was a girl who died in a car accident over winter break. The time away from school gave us space to process it. By the time we returned, the sharp edges of grief had dulled. The third was another girl, and this time it was worse. She was in the car with her little brother. She died instantly. He fought for a few days before slipping away. The school chose the worst possible moment to announce it, right before a class change. The hallways were suffocating in their silence, a collective grief hanging over us. That was the first time I saw a school full of teenagers rendered completely speechless. The weight of it all was unbearable. The last death was a teacher. She had a seizure at school and was rushed to the hospital. She never came back. Her son, also a teacher, had to mourn his mother in the very same halls where she had once taught. When you say grief mode, I understand. It isn't just about the people closest to the deceased. It spreads. It seeps into everyone, into the air, into the very walls of the school. I wasn't best friends with any of them, but I knew them all. And I carried guilt, not because I had done anything wrong, but because I wished I had known them better, been closer, appreciated them while they were still here. Grief doesn't just hit. It lingers. It changes you, and it never truly leaves.